All right. Thank you to those of you who wanted to stay on for a little more, the community aspect. Um, this is really a chance for us to gather around the fire to really gather and share and story tell about our experiences, about our more unspoken experiences, the ones that are brought about as a result of psychedelics, of meditation, of ecstatic dance, of major life changes, maybe near-death experiences, maybe the loss of a loved one. There's a million different doorways that come about and we walk throughout our lives. Some are a lot bigger than others, and you never know when you're about to enter one of those experiences that may really drastically change how you see the world, have a profound effect on you. Of course, when we're talking about psychedelics, you do want to know ahead of time that you're about to have one of those experiences. But immediately an anecdote pops up for me, so I'll start the sharing circle. Sometimes you don't know you're about to have one of those experiences. I was pregnant with my first son, Bodhi, and this contributed to the name, definitely. I had just finished, it was a hot afternoon in midsummer, so I was not even halfway along, maybe 4 or 5 months pregnant. And I guess I had traveled recently. I had gone to summer solstice at Stonehenge, which was like a wild, once in a lifetime experience to begin with. And so maybe it had something to do with that. Maybe it had something to do with flights. But for whatever reason, hot afternoon, middle of the summer or beginning of the summer, I had just finished watching Little Buddha. And really the end with the phrase, architect, you will not build this house again, or you will not build your house again, and the dissolving into pattern and light. It hit me in a way that it hadn't when I first saw the movie years ago, decades ago. And so right afterwards, I was feeling really good. I remember throwing my arms around my husband, giving him a kiss, and then we said, let's go for a walk around the neighborhood. And at the time, we lived in Adams Morgan in Washington, D.C., and we had a couple of little routes we liked to walk that took us along the streets, past the pretty houses, and into a park, and then along Rock Creek Park, which is our strip of nature, one of our strips of nature through the city. Uh, and there's something about stepping out the front door where I started to feel like, little lightheaded. Something feels different. All right. No big deal. I've got support. I've got water. We crossed the street and I really started to feel something. I started to feel like a full shift in consciousness or an altered state coming on. But it seemed so impossible that I just thought, it's gonna pass in a moment, no big deal. And we got to the end of the block, and I had that familiar moment, familiar because of my previous experience with psychedelics, where I was like, I'm, this isn't just gonna pass, not quickly, or at least not quickly to me. This is coming on. This is happening. I'm going somewhere else. And it was more of a feeling than anything else. Maybe it was I was starting to see things, but nothing that stood out to me after the fact. And so I said to Eric, I was like, we gotta go back. I'm um I'm feeling faint. And so we walked a little further along and I was like, I have to sit down. So I sat on this low stone wall, like a raised garden right along the sidewalk. And as soon as I sat down, I I passed out. I lay back in the garden bed and sent Eric into a full panic. Full panic. So there's always people on the street. There's always people crisscrossing in every direction. And he looked up and looked down and across, and no one was around. So he started calling for help. And we're right in front of an apartment building or condo. And so, he was hoping somebody from some direction was going to come and help. His pregnant wife was fainting, passing out. And it probably was only seconds. It probably was only seconds, but I started to come to. I remember feeling this like, oh, I'm going. Goodbye. And then feeling as if I was going up into the sky. And then having this vague memory of like, wait, I have, I can't go. I have a husband. I have a baby. I have a baby. I can't go right now. And so I came to and he was panicked. And I just reached out and touched his arm. He helped me up. I said, I'm okay now. I'm back. What happened, And then we went on home and he was very, focused on me, making sure I was okay, looking up online what you're supposed to do if a pregnant woman faints. And I wasn't, it wasn't, I wasn't gone for long, but I felt completely back after that. And whereas walking along that street beforehand, it was like that lifting of energy, like changing frequency from tuning into this reality to going to another, like the and just feeling like something beyond my control is happening. I'm going somewhere else. I'm having a psychedelic experience. I'm going away. And in those moments, you don't, at least for me, you don't particularly want to be in a public space. So that was part of why I was like, we have to get home now. Like, get me somewhere safe and private with less stimulation. And yeah, the fainting kind of both brought me more deeply into it and then brought me right back out. And it was that thought of like, I have more work to do. I have to have a family. I have people that I need to care for and bring into this world. So that was the anecdote that came up when I said, you know, you never know when these experiences are going to happen, but ideally, you're planning ahead and getting prepared for a psychedelic experience. You don't want that to just pop up out of nowhere, but sometimes whatever's going on energetically, our physiology, it can occasion those experiences, those kinds of experiences. I fainted a little bit as a kid, so maybe that's part of it. Um, yeah, but and so what I also want to bring about as part of the conversation is that idea of integration. And there's times in my life where I've really felt like, oh, I figured it out. I understand how to bring in these different parts of myself, like the parts of me that often feel very like higher self, soul, like true self, hyper reality, super real, like whatever you want to think about it, the parts of me that feel very like I know all is fine, all is well. And all those mysteries, all those questions, they don't need answering because I know there's like a full alignment feeling. It's a very full, whole, peaceful, unitive feeling. That feeling of love, that feeling of peace. And so that's largely been my experience and my draw with and to psychedelics, and part of like why I champion them really, and not just in the healing sense, not just in like the psychological, therapeutic, clinical sense. It is a soul remembrance. And this is something that our ancestors knew and dabbled in. We had some dark ages come through where things were a little muddled. Witches be crazy, put them aside. They're just like, "What? We're trying to keep the sacrament alive." Ah, known and unknown. It's fine. Moving on from that. But yeah, that these have the potential to awaken us into not just like higher path, true self, but to simply like our lives as they are in the present, our lives as they are, and how nothing's out of place. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that you should be doing, need to be doing, have to be doing. It doesn't need to be a like get in there and tighten the screws with a wrench. Like there's nothing to be fixed. You don't need to be fixed. You are already all that you are. You are complete. You are whole. You are part of it all. You've never been separated from any aspect of it. We're not separate. There's no us or them. There's just us. There's just the collective. There's just all of us as one, as part of one. However, it just gets into semantics beyond that, but you can feel the energy and like the passion behind it. So I lost where I was going with that. But yeah, integrating it is also a realization of there's nothing I have to do. Maybe just chill. Just remember this. Remember. And sometimes, often, when we come out of those beautiful retreats or intentional psychedelic experiences, we're like, I'm never going to forget this. I'm never going to forget this. There's nothing I need. There's nothing that needs to be added to my life. All is well. I'm doing it all right. It's all good. And that's fantastic. But the real question, and it's one you can ask before, during, after, is what is getting in the way of me feeling that way all the time? That presence, that wholeness, that peace. Why am I not feeling that all the time? And so there's a lot of different answers to that, but there's also just the tool of how can I remember to feel this way all the time? And yes, there's healing work to be done, but it's not forever. You don't need to be working on that one trauma. And it's almost never just one trauma, but you don't need to be working on it for the rest of your life. If you see patterns in your belief system, in your behavior that really aren't, they don't feel good. They aren't aligned with making symbols. They aren't aligned with who you are and what you want. They aren't serving you. So very popular phrase. They aren't serving you in your life as you want it to be or as it is now. Explore those patterns. See what you got to see. Put awareness on them. That's the light. Feel what you got to feel so that you're not just wanting to change them. You're willing to change them. And that's when we go back in. That's when it's like you got to be curious about every part of it. It's like, where does this even come from? This got wired in somewhere. That's the useful part of going into the exploration of, what happened, what went wrong, where's the trauma, but it's an intentional and contained moment in time. See it, feel it around the pattern, the behavior, the thought pattern, and then you create that new pattern belief, that willing to change. You'll immediately get a moment where it's um, putting that choice into action. You're making a new choice. So if I'm a big comfort eater, I gorge to like cover up my feelings or to just feel good at the end. What, you know, I definitely had that at one point. It's been a while, so it's I don't have the juiciness of detail really ready for me to grasp at the moment, but if I'm eating for comfort, and I go into like the how that got wired in, curiosity, putting love on all of it, seeing it, feeling it, realizing like, all right, this is coming from a place of stuff it down, don't feel it. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. So give me more. So give me more. And wanting to rewire that. The new belief is like, I'm enough. There's enough. I can feel what I need to feel without cutting it off because it doesn't last forever. Every emotion, and there might be waves, everything we feel has really, it doesn't last more than 90 seconds. So as much as we like, "Ugh, I don't want to feel anger," or like, oh, I don't want to cry in front of everybody, it's often a lot better if we just let it happen and it's over like that. And then we can, feel better and move on with our lives. But, or into the next wave. But where was I met? Yeah, feel it and then make that new choice. Maybe the next time there's a gallon of ice cream in the freezer, instead of deciding like I'm gonna sit down with just the gallon and a spoon and eat the whole thing, maybe instead it's like I'm gonna have a scoop. Or maybe it's like I don't need it right now. I don't need it right now. I don't know why I went to that as my example, but it felt so, it felt like it could be a complete example. But so, yeah, the integration process is really very closely tied. I won't say one and the same, but very closely tied to the cycle of transformation, of conscious change. So we make a new choice. And this was first taught to me by Natalie Emka, now Natalie Hunter. Um, So we make that new choice and then we continue through the cycle. That new choice, that opportunity will keep coming up. The moment we move from like desire to change to willingness to change, we'll be presented with the choice. And so, how are we ready for that choice? Reminders help, remembering helps. When we come out of ceremony knowing that all is well, that you're living your life just fine. Maybe it, and like the tweak is just how you are kind to yourself in living your life. Relaxed, at ease, at peace, in love, grateful, forgiving. So it's not that I have to change everything I do and I have to change it now. I have too much plastic. I have too much food that isn't good for. I think a lot of us go straight to the material and replacing one set of shoulds for another set of shoulds. Instead of doing that, it can be simple. It can be that one choice coming out of ceremony of like, I want to remember this feeling. Okay, what will help me remember this feeling? And often we just want to be like, I'm going to just be in this feeling. I'm just going to be here in this forever. Great. But also having a little micro practice that can carry you day to day, easy to do. You could probably hit it for 100 days straight without even missing a beat. Something super easy. And it could be a conscious breath, but something that really puts you in another another state of remembrance. And so maybe it's an object, maybe it's something you place in a room that you know you'll see it every day. I think I've heard, I haven't done it, maybe I did it once. The mirror, every morning you get up, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you're looking in the mirror. A sticker, a message, something you write on the mirror. Oh, I have done that. So it's every morning. You're just seeing that message. You're good, just as you are. You're perfect just as you are right here, right now. Take a deep breath, and it's going to be different for every single person. And that's important. It's important to say that. Like, I can't come in and say, do this, and you will integrate every major life experience and psychedelic moment and every moment in your life where you just feel amazing, where you feel like, I'm merging my highest timeline, my highest self with the life I know, and it's one path now. It already is. It already is. You, you are already all that you are. So all that needs to be tweaked is that you remember that. That's it. That's the integration. And there's many tools that we can utilize to remember and get back there. And the one that I like to offer is when I do processing with a client, which is usually like an hour and a half download of just like, here's what happened, here's everything. And then like if something's kind of nebulous or mysterious, it's like we get curious about it together. Like, what do you think that was? What does that mean to you? Like, a good one is like, what do horses mean to you? I saw a horse in and I had a vision of a horse. It's like, okay, that means something different to me. What does that mean to you? This is yours. So it doesn't matter that you look up online that like but horses represent this. It's like, well, did you have any inkling of that ahead of time? Do you feel like that's very true for you, that they have these enormous hearts and they're very healing? Or did you get kicked by a horse when you're little and it means something else? So yeah, it's really constantly coming back to you and you. And I'm there to guide that. But I forgot the tool that we use from these processing sessions is a meditation, an activation meditation that's created from your own words and your account of the space, the energy, so that you can lie back and receive yourself, essentially. Receive yourself. And you go in intentionally, maybe like 89 days after, 90 to 3 months, whatever. I really like to include the Fibonacci sequence wherever I can, but maybe you go in and you reactivate it right at that period of time when your extra neuroplasticity and your learning period has come to an end. The big one is those first few days. And then for 3 months, you're still basking in like that new laid track, that those new paths, the new neural pathways you laid. And so this is just the 3 months right up against how you were living your life the last 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. So sometimes those old pathways, those old patterns are just ready to reassert themselves when we kind of relax back into one way of being and back again into another. And the next thing we know, that not enoughness channel comes right back in. And that feeling of like, I'm tight, I'm anxious, I don't know if I'm happy in my life. I think I need to do another ceremony. Not necessarily. Some people do believe in like the coming to the altar quarterly. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got to find their own pace with these deep spiritual practices and certainly with medicines. But try try coming back to a space of remembrance. That's what I try to open up with these activation meditations, and they're really powerful. But this can be done with that daily practice, maybe expanding it for a moment in time, coming back to like, all right, I have my plastic, wow, my practice that I do every day. That's like, there's always time and space for it. I mean, unless I'm literally in a coma, there's always time and space for it. Then there's the maybe a larger practice, something you do weekly or monthly or within some kind of cycle. And then like a full day, a full afternoon, a full evening dedicated to that remembrance. So it's those, I mean, those are the buzzwords, right? Remember that love, remember that unconditioned loving reality, that unity, that all is well. I've said this enough times within this spiel that I don't need to say it again, but and I had put it the same way, but when I read um How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, I literally had to look over at the book because sometimes I say his name's Poland. It's not, it's Pollan, Michael Pollan. Um, he says in the first few pages that what's profound about these experiences is that all of a sudden every Hallmark card, every like overused, like it's lost all its flavor, it's a like old piece of chewed gum phrase you ever heard, suddenly resonates with you as profound truth. You know, like love is all there is, we are one. Things that like became mocked by school children through like our choral song teachings. Anyway, that's it can be difficult to take something like that truth and have that be your hammered in remembrance every day. Gratitude's a great one. The gratitude journal, just a minute, the start, middle, and end of the day, you know, because all these are just different vibrations of love, the forgiveness, the gratitude, the authenticity. So, whatever path that resonates the most with you, that's the right one. Getting some sun, sitting by a body of water, going for a walk in nature, talking to a tree. uh, yeah. All right. I think I've talked this into the ground. But before we open up the floor to who else wants to share, I just want to say that we will do this, um, if not weekly, with the Soul Support Wednesday meditation. Uh, then we'll do this monthly, maybe opening it up to um, evenings where people can come gather around the campfire and share their experiences, both and I it doesn't need to be a profound and well thought out thing. It can be like this wild thing happened to me, or this very difficult thing happened to me, and I'm still parsing it out. And it doesn't need to be a space where we coach you, guide you, or parse it out with you. It can simply be like, this is where I am. Please witness me in it. I'm not open to trying to fix it. Or yes, please, please. What am I not seeing within this? So we all have the capacity to hold space for one another. We all have the capacity to ask genuine, safe, loving questions that help us deepen our experiences. Often we're afraid to ask ourselves those questions. We're also afraid to ask others those questions because we don't want to make them uncomfortable. But you know, it's a good question when one, you don't really know how to answer it. And two, as soon as you start to answer it, energy starts to move, emotion starts to come up. That's the energetic shift. That's transformational energy. That's, you know, an opening into conscious change or integration. Depends on what it is you're looking for. So take a deep breath with me before we move on. All right. Thank you for holding the space for me and for receiving my over talking. Passing the mic.